Well, hello everyone. So, by popular demand, I've asked in a previous post on YouTube, what would you like to see a video on? And overwhelmingly, well, it got more likes than in the other responses. Was this, which is basically, create a song from start to finish. Show some of the process that goes on, etc., etc. I'll just go ahead and tell you, it's different for every song. So, kind of the way I approach this is, a lot of times I'll kick around some ideas, and sometimes those ideas will find their way into a song artfully, or other times it's just completely every single moment is something I'm making special for that piece. I guess it's kind of in my mind's ear. It's kind of where it's coming from. But other times it's like an analytical thing. So, but with this, yeah, this is a totally new experience. So this is what I was working with earlier, though. Yay me for bringing stuff along. A lot of times maybe I'll start off by just doing this kind of thing, just kind of improvising some stuff while I'm thinking about structures for tunes and things like that. And so like I was sitting there playing and I'm thinking, I definitely would like to do something where it's not just a steady beat throughout the whole piece. Like it has like hits in it, or like segments that the drums are like integrating in with what's happening with the tonal instruments in an interesting way. It's not just setting up a drum machine loop, in other words, and just playing something over top of it, which is fine for certain things, but it's got a more polished, kind of a well thought out jazz fusion type of a feel when the drums are actually interactive and they're not just a supportive player, but they're actually part of the band playing the tune with the band, not providing the foundation upon which everyone else is playing the tune on top of. And I was sitting here thinking while I was playing that maybe it would be interesting to do like more of a continuous line type of a thing. What I mean is like something kind of King Crimson-esque or Flecktones-esque sort of a thing where there's like a continuous line. Even Chick Corea and a different artist, this is not like a singular thing to do, where there's like more of a continuous part happening. Potentially something a little more hard-edged, dissonant, I'm thinking. I'll just like kind of improvise some stuff, and we'll see what comes out of it. See, I just started doing that right off the bat. That is That's actually in 4, although it feels like it's in a different time signature. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's kind of interesting because immediately you can kind of hear how the drums would play around with that, right? Yeah, so like that groove is kind of stuck in my brain now. So that section of the tune, I mean, that's almost just like an intro, right? Like it's almost like an intro period. Like you can totally hear that in the front of the piece. Um, so at that stage, so I have two options now. I can either continue to work towards seeing what the bass is going to do there, or I can go ahead and start writing other parts of the tune or thinking about it. Because now what's interesting here is that if I try to write a bass line to this, or it might color the rest of the piece. It might drive it in a different direction. Now that I've played around with this a little bit, I'm kind of getting this kind of a later period Brecker Brothers vibe. Maybe like late 80s, early 90s type vibe from this. And just in terms of like the pentatonic style quartal harmonies and things like that. So I might actually play around with that and see where that leads. So right there, I like that. That's sort of a thing that works. I don't know how it's going to connect to the other parts quite yet, but so what I really need, the other section either sounds like a bridge or an intro kind of material. What I really need to unify this, because the other section that's in F sharp minor section, F sharp minor 7 to kind of a minor 7 thing with the, like the 13, kind of a minor 13 that it goes up to by using a pedal tone in the top register. Kind of, I think what would really unify this is to have a strong A section, because that's more like a B section. It just feels like a B section, if that makes any sense. So what I'm doing here, a lot of this is like mentally turning around in my head. So I need like an A section, basically. So like sometimes I'll kind of sing stuff in my head or think about what might work, or I'll play around with some different chords or voicings or ideas or polyphonic ideas. Because maybe I need like more of a polyphonic idea, something more interesting, to really make the piece codify into something that I consider to be worthy of publishing as a tune. unto itself, you know. But I do still need an A section, so I need to think about this. So I've been watching these detective video games. These they use a lot of the like the film noir, you know, type stuff, and it's got a lot of those kinds of chords in it. And um, I'm almost tempted to insert that into this piece, but see, once I make a decision like that, it sort of stylistically stamps it as this is the kind of thing that it's going on, you know. And it kind of stands in contrast to what the other parts are, which can be bad or good. Um, so hypothetically, at this point, I've got several sections of this tune, you know, kind of going. It might be a wise thing to, like, at this point, try to write something like an interesting melody or section or something like that for those chords I just played. And there's different ways I guess I could finger those. I could do it. See, that's almost interesting by itself. But again, I'm tempted to do something more melodic because that immediately I can hear a drum beat for that. Yeah, let me think about this. Let's play around a little bit more. So there's a lot of interesting harmonic stuff happening here, but it's subtle changes. So like you have the B minor harmonic minor, that, and then also just F sharp major or F sharp Phrygian dominant. And you can flip back and forth. So typically when I want to write a melody, especially if it's got really obtuse chord changes that are kind of not particularly obvious, they're kind of ambiguous tonally, I like to have the melody kind of hint at major chord tones, because it gives the listener something to latch on to, right? So let's play around with some melodic ideas. So sometimes I like to sing stuff, or like sing it in my head, sort of, rather than just try to come up with patterns of notes on the fretboard, because they can go on endlessly. So let's do a little bit of that. You're not going to hear it. So rather than it get too notey, like maybe it's like a cool little motif of a melody that's kind of gotten some offbeat little things happening, and then maybe some little bursts of notes that are timed more appropriately, rather than more of a bebop melody, which I could write, but it's kind of tedious, because I'm already going to play a ton of stuff in the solo, probably, that's all connected lines. So it's more memorable and catchy to do something that's a little opposed to that aesthetic, I guess, that's going to happen in the improv. So I think I've come up with a kind of an interesting melody, and it kind of led me to add an extra chord in between those, and change the style ever so slightly for just a second in order to achieve this connectiveness. I don't know if I'm just going to repeat the melody section twice, or change, like have a variation melody, or something else. So this is essentially what I've come up with, though. Something like that. So as I'm sitting here thinking about this, so there's something to tune writing. As I'm doing this, I'm not really thinking about orchestration all the time. So what I might do is just actually end up putting making this more of a quartet piece. And so I kind of go back to this all the time, instead of like a straight ahead jazz thing, which would be just like, there's different approaches, right? So like I could do just like clean guitar, bass, drums, and do different things with that. Maybe use distortion on the guitar occasionally, but with no chord backing. So it'd just be like more of a lead bass drums thing happening, which is totally fine. It's got a different kind of vibe. Then having a chordal backing, which kind of, you can hear the chords more clearly, but it's kind of takes away from the immediacy of the line. Kind of the harder edge of it kind of goes away, and it kind of becomes more of a produced thing. What I might do is go for more of a produced thing with this, just for the sake of the fact that, those of you who are watching this would probably want more of a produced final result. So I'm hearing a repetition of the melody, but in the second repetition, there's more of a fast little phrase. It's like, blah, 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 that'll sound really cool, I think, with the drums doubling it, maybe even the bass doubling that, just for that one little section with some little kind of offbeat, fast, little jittery, fast phrases. Maybe the way to go would be to also have like the polyphonic keyboard guitar type solo over that B section, and then maybe the A section be the lead guitar, like more of that thing, or both of them can do over both forms. right there, that lick that I just played. Yeah, I want to try to save this in the memory banks. Do that when you come up to your improvisation. Like, so sometimes that kind of stuff happens where you're like, oh, that's rhythmically and harmonically working. Try to remember to do that. Will I remember to do it? I don't know. So to connect these two parts, I kind of think that I might just do the whole form. We got to hit an A power chord, basically, and then that'll get us back neatly to the B section. And typically, I don't write tunes this fast. I let them ferment. I let them sit around and think about how it's going to go. And there may be all kinds of little things that I add in the recording stage that's going to change the whole nature of this, right? Since there may or may not be like a codified B section melody, aside from just the groove. See, there's another thing. The groove there is so strong that I might just use that as the melody, right? I think we have enough. Let's jump over to the recording phase. Okay, so I'm just going to go over this briefly. I'm not going to bore you with the tediousness of it because we're about to listen to the song. So after I got done with that video, I just basically opened this up, got a good click tempo going, and then made a guide track. See, GUIDE, a guide track. Like anytime I'm dealing with this real complicated multi-instruments on camera stuff, I need one track to finish the whole thing out, and then I can create subsequent mixes where I have other parts that are dropped out or missing or something like that, and then record to that track, and then extract the audio from the video of that instrument, and then apply it back into the mix, which is what I've done here. This is pretty typical of what I generally do. So like up here is the guitar, and you'll see like I added like the little. I ended up coming up with like a 7/8 figure, and then it goes into the main melody. So like there's a 7/8 figure here. It goes into the main melody. Goes into another section. I think the B section. Then there's another section that's similar to the intro, which is it's like in either 5/4 or in a compound, like 5/8 plus 1 bar of 6/8 or some kind of, it's something like that, some kind of compound 8 meter. Either way you want to look at it. And I just kind of sometimes go by feel and what works, and it often does. And then we have a keyboard solo here. I did like several takes. So oftentimes I'll just drop in like a track, the different solos, and like get them synced up right, and then kind of just flip back and forth and see which ones I like and keep that. So I ended up taking the third take. So that's the one you're going to see here in a minute. So there's a keyboard solo, then it goes back to the 7/8 figure, and then it goes to the first guitar solo. So I kind of had that one as my take. Only did 2 for that, and then there's a repetition of the melody here, and then I have harmonized with the. I should back up here. So this track is like a distorted lead playing the melody. So the guitar track that you see up here, I'm playing chords and the melody at the same time, right? So I do that on several places, and then over here, the same, distorted melody lead is playing a harmony version of that, which harmonizes with the two-handed thing that I'm doing there. And then, of course, down here, I've split into stereo, like a more lush, kind of a clean sound, and I use that as, I split it hard left and hard right. You can see where it's pan left and right. See, and yeah, so that's just for the melody sections, and something else or another. I can't remember exactly right now. Then I have like a very reverby, lush kind of a melody. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like a very ambient sound that I use for just some little melodic cues in some of the sections that are like that repetitious mixed meter, compound meter stuff, just on top, kind of in the background. And then over here, we have the at the very end, the melody plays, and then they play. The whole band plays this figure, right? I should actually mention here's the bass there, and here's the drums, right? The drums cut off here, and then I have a drum solo I've inserted from a video. It's the second take, drum 2. So this is the drum solo, the second take, and it plays over this figure that the whole band is playing. So what I wanted to do essentially was create a like the tune is called Noir, so it's kind of got that jazz film noir type vibe to it, but instead of doing something really cliche with the beat, the structure, and all of that, I opted to keep it more like jazz rock fusion. So the beat, if you just listen to it straight up, it kind of is like a straight ahead beat, like a straight ahead rock beat. But I have little shufflings that kind of makes it swing. And so it's got a driving force to it, but it also swings at the same time because of the snare, the way the snare is accented. So, and then it gets to the end, and then I've come in with some little jazz figures, and then just kind of go off, all this crazy drumming, which is kind of borrowing from fusion and jazz, but it's not in the traditional sense. So I kind of wanted to write a fusion tune that has elements of hearkening to film noir and detective culture and things like that. I was watching a lot of detective-based games recently, and that's kind of what ended up inspiring this. But anyway, enough talking. Let's actually just go ahead and watch the video and listen to this thing. And I hope you enjoy it. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe.